camera. I'm here in Orange, New Jersey. I'm waiting to speak to Amin of Amin Design. So your name is Amin?
My name is Amin, yes. I'm an engineer. I'm also an entrepreneur, so 2 E's. Entrepreneur, engineer. I love art. I love life. I love music. I love photography. I'm inspired by a lot of things. So they say engineers use their left brain, I believe. I like to use my right brain too, the creative side. So
you use your whole brain?
I'm ambibrainious.
So you're an engineer. What kind of engineer are you?
So I'm chemical engineer.
Okay.
But I also worked in electric, gas and steam. So I know electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. I've worked in different aspects of engineering. I've been with my company since I was a freshman in college. And I feel like I've learned so much about business as well, not just engineering. So I like to incorporate that in my everyday life. And
so the Come Up Chronicles is really about some of the other things that you do. So you said you're an entrepreneur, and you already said how working in an engineering firm has helped you learn about the business world and influence, I'm guessing, influence your entrepreneurial activities. So can you talk a bit about that? Like, what are some of the things you do?
I started out doing photography as a hobby. In high school, people used to call me Kodak girl because I always used to carry a camera with me. And then it just followed me, you know. I took the photography and started building a fan base on Facebook back then, when I was on Facebook back in 2011. And my approach to photography was very artistic. So I wouldn't just take a picture, like I would design the set, you know, kind of like use African fabrics to use that as somebody's head wrap, but also use it as the backdrop.
Yeah.
So I just love to be creative with whatever I do. So I started with the photography. People followed me into Instagram, and Instagram I started showing my home decor. This is my house, this is, you know, decor. You only seen a bit of it, but I started making pillows, like designing pillows like this, and I would post it on Instagram and people would want it. And then so I made a website by myself, created it, and everything just happened organically. That's what I would say. Just an organic process. When you love creativity, when you love art, things just kind of flow.
Right.
So everything has an ebb and a flow to it, and sometimes you leave one behind to focus on the other, but they all come back together. So I don't usually have to hire a photographer because I have the photography background. But at the same time, because I love art, I will hire a photographer if there's certain things I want to do and I feel like I can't capture on my own. How
were you able to balance all of that with your full-time job?
My approach to life is there's 24 hours in a day. And I just try to use every bit of it. Time management is important. Every day is not perfect. There's some days where my job will suffer, meaning like I have some projects I'm doing for clients and it's a light day at work, so I'm not going to be as intensive at work. Don't tell anybody that. But then there are other days where work is very hectic, and then the weekends are all about my business.
Yeah.
Or in the middle of the night, you know, I'm also a mother, so when my son is asleep, you know, in the middle of the night, that's when I'm up. Like last night, I was doing a logo for someone. And so my son went to sleep about 9 o'clock. From 9 to 3 a.m. I was up doing the logo, dealing with the client. So I think that it's very important to maximize the 24 hours of the day. There's no such thing. Like all the successful people that you see, there's lots of sleepless nights involved in it. There's lots of crying. Sometimes you can't get something done, or you, just like a writer, they have writer's block, but you have to keep pushing. So there's 24 hours in a day. And also my other motto is I'll sleep when I'm dead. You know, there's no work when you're dead. You know, there's no complaining when you're dead. You know, you're dead in the ground, you're buried. Not to be morbid, but it's the truth. You know, while you're living and there's life in you, you have to maximize that time.
How are you able to move to carry over your followership on Facebook onto Instagram, and then drive them onto the blog and make them want to purchase your stuff?
So I think branding is it's something that's used as cliche, but your brand is very important. A brand is not just a name. Apple is a brand. It's not because of just their name. It's because the product they offer, everything about Apple is clean, streamlined. The reason why billions of people are using iPhones that were very expensive when they were introduced is not because it's just an iPhone. It's because of the brand that became of Apple. So when Apple wants to sell a product, you think of Apple as clean, it looks aesthetically pleasing. It goes with a modern house. There's a brand that's associated with an Apple versus you see somebody with a Dell. Not to say there's anything wrong with Dell, but there's a brand associated with it. So what happened is people didn't follow me to Instagram. They followed my brand. They followed creativity, and that's what they wanted. They said my page was inspirational to them. So I have lots of color on my Instagram. You see my Instagram aesthetically, you know that this color lives here, that creativity lives here. So whether you really want to buy my pillow or you're just there for inspiration, eventually you'll end up on my website because you want to know more and because you get intrigued. So I think what's important, how you monetize things, is your brand. If your brand says that you're creative and people want to follow something creative, they're going to follow you. So if tomorrow, if Amin wants to design cars, some people will follow me. Like, let me see what she's gonna do with cars. I liked her photography, I liked her design, I liked her home decor, so let me see what she does with that.
How would you say your income is split between your job as an engineer and the more creative stuff that you're doing?
Yeah, so with creativity, definitely is a passion. Your passion may not always make you as much money as you'd like. So what I say is your career would fuel it would furnish that money that you need to further your passion. Like my camera equipment costs a lot of money. But because I have a career as an engineer, then I was able to afford the camera equipment. So of course my passions don't pay as well as my career. They just don't. Now the goal is to one day get it to that point, but you're going to get it to that point by creating multiple streams of income. You can't just be, I do photography. The key to wealth, I love Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
And Warren Buffett is like the ultimate, him and Steve Jobs were like my role models as far as like, it wasn't really about being a billionaire, but just like these guys, even though they came from okay families, well-to-do families, like some of them, they didn't, they in particular didn't, but they built their wealth from the ground. And if you ever hear Warren Buffett speak, he's the most humble person. He's so humble, but what he talks about all the time is multiple stream of income. You cannot just be, you're not going to be rich being an engineer. You make good money, you can buy houses, you can do that, but you're not going to be filthy rich. You're not going to be rich just doing photography. How you're going to be wealthy is when you start creating multiple streams of income. When you're sleeping and money is coming in, that's when you can get comfortable. When you're asleep and you're making money, that's why I like online businesses.
Passive income.
Passive income. Income that you do. Some people get paid to speak at events, to get paid to speak at graduations. When you find your passion and you're making money from it, all of those things of income, that's also wealth that money really can buy. It's the internal wealth. So yes, as far as the details is really, my engineering obviously pays way more than the rest. But if I wanted to, and I wanted to really push hard, I think I can do close to it if I wanted to.
Okay.
But also having an online business depends on customers. Sometimes the recession, people don't want to shop.
Yeah.
But at least the engineering, I control that. Like I go to work every day. When I go to work, then I get paid. So yeah, multiple streams of income.
Okay, cool. So there was something that you had on your Instagram a while ago. You talked about how you purchased your first home at a really young age. I think, and surveys have said that this generation is not as financially conscious as they should be. We don't really know how to budget. We don't really know how to plan for investments. So I think that's something that might be interesting for you to talk a little bit about. How did you plan your savings and your investments to be able to make that purchase?
Okay, so when I was in college, I grew up with a humble background. I didn't have like money saved for me to go to college, so I had to get scholarships and things like that. When I was in college, I was working. I was always working from freshman year of college. So I was making about $30,000 a year, just to be very candid with you, so you can see the numbers. And you should check out my blog, aminblog.com, and I'm sure you get more info later because it has all the info. I write about it a lot. So I was making about 30 grand a year, working part-time. And I also, what I did is I was getting a stipend because I thought I wanted to be a doctor. So I used to get like $1,000 stipend every month. I think about savings in terms of annually. So that when you do that, even if you don't have a budget, when you tell yourself I'm making $1,000 from school every month, it's easy to spend that $1,000. But when you tell yourself I'm making $12,000 a year from school, what would I want by December of that year? to be in my bank account.
Yeah.
When you think like that, your mindset shifts. If you change the way you think, you're going to change the way you look at things. And if you change the way you look at things, you're going to change your life. So my mindset shifted from, okay, I'm making $1,000 a month from school, plus the $30,000 I'm making from working part-time. So I was making, to myself, I told myself I'm making $42,000 a year. This money must be in my bank account. Because one year I saw my tax return, I'm like, so if I made this much, why is it not in my bank account? Why do I have $500 in my bank account? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm living at home with my parents. I'm not paying anything. Why am I having so little money from what I'm making? So I started shifting the way I thought. So now I did direct deposit into my bank account. So when you start seeing your money grow from $1,000 to $5,000 to $10,000, you want to see it grow bigger if you have that mindset. I wasn't into name brand clothing. I wasn't into, let me shop and buy these things. I had a goal. I didn't know what I wanted to do with the money, but I just wanted to see the money in my account. So every year for 4 years, I saved that money. So even though I was making 42 grand, let's just say I would maybe 12 grand out of it, I would take away then 30, so 30, 60, 90, 120 grand by the time I was graduating college in my bank account, sitting there. So I said, I'm going to buy a property. I'm young, but I'm going to buy a property. Everybody I knew discouraged me. Oh, you're too young. Who will marry you when you're buying a property at 21? What are you doing? I said, I'm going to still do it. So I had the 120 grand. I put 20% down on the condo. I bought it in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And it was the best decision I ever made. It was the best thing I ever did with that type of money. I could have done so many things. I could have bought a car. I could have done this. I could have splurged. I could have shopped till I dropped. And I bought that condo, and to this day, that condo now that I used to live in, that I own, I still own it. I'm a landlord now. I rent it out. I won't tell you how much I rent it out for, but it's really good money. And the thing is, if I didn't make that decision years ago, right now, who knows where I would be. The generation now is, you guys are bold, and you guys are young. You guys are fire starters. I feel like you have so much to offer this world. So start those fires now. Start them early. And burn everything down, like in a good sense. Like, just do your best, work hard. It's not easy, but why not? You have the energy, you have the strength. There's no excuse.
Yeah.